Over to you, Tiffany.
Thank you so much, Felicia, and welcome everybody. I'm so excited that you are here. I'm totally excited to be working with Michaels on doing this class and helping all of you get your craft rooms. And today we're going to focus on craft carts once we talk about sort of basic, what we need to do to be organized in general in our craft room, and then how we're going to translate those skills over into a craft cart, which has become so popular in our craft rooms recently. So I'm just going to jump right in. I want to tell you about two things. The first thing is there's a link for downloading your handout for today. So if you haven't seen it or you haven't downloaded it, watch for that link and you will be able to download the exact handout that I'm using. I know some of you already have it and you've printed it out and you can follow along and take notes as you need to, but Overwhelmed to Organize with Totally Tiffany, and then that focus on the craft carts toward the end of the class. Also, you've got another link, or we will have another link. Michaels now has all of our buddy bags available on michaels.com, along with a plethora of other Totally Tiffany products. And there is a downloadable list of buddy bags that's going to give you the dimensions and what different products they work with. And so I'm going to encourage you to download that and print it out so that when you are choosing what you need to get your craft cart organized, you have kind of a little cheat sheet for dimensions and sizes and what type of products are going to work in there. So welcome everybody. I'm super excited that you're here with me. I know some of you know me. Thank you for joining. And some of you are brand new to Totally Tiffany. And so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about who I am and how the Totally Tiffany system of organization kind of got started. First of all, what you should know is that I was never crafty. I was never an art girl or a hobby girl. I never liked to do any of those things as a kid, which was difficult for my mother because she's a professional artist. But she used to do all my art projects for school. And when I ran for student council, she made my student council posters. And one day I got a call from my sister and she said, "Hey, I'm having a party on Friday. Do you want to come?" And I said, "Sure, I love a party. That sounds great." She says, "Be at my house at 6 o'clock, bring 5 pictures. He hangs up the phone. And I'm like, 5 pictures? Pictures of what? I call her back. I'm like, "What are you talking about? Pictures of what?" She, just 5 pictures from anything. Well, she won't tell me why I need the pictures. And so I say, "If you don't tell me about the pictures, I'm not coming." So she lays it on me. It's a scrapbooking party. And I say, not interested, not a craft girl, not a hobbyist, don't have any interest. Well, she pulls the big sister card on me and I show up at her house with my pictures and throw them down on the table, arms crossed, head shake, eye roll, typical teenage girl, can't believe I'm here on a Friday night sort of behavior. And then I wasn't a teenage girl, so then I got handed a glass of wine and things got better right there. But 30 minutes later, I was a scrapbooking goddess. I loved everything about it. I thought I was amazing at scrapbooking. And let me tell you, those first pages were a long way from amazing. But well, and I was so good with decorative edge scissors. I was thinking about trimming my own hair, right? I mean, it was so much fun. I was addicted from the moment, bought everything that I could get. The next day, my sister and I went out, hit every Michaels in the Puget Sound area, scooping up all the different things that we could find for scrapbooking. And probably 3 weeks later, I was overwhelmed with how much stuff I had accumulated. But there was no end in sight because I was excited and I wanted all the stuff and I wanted to do it. I was doing an album for me, album for each of my kids, album for each of the grandparents. I had this huge plan, but I also have a problem with organization and I can't function in a mess. And so I had to solve my own problem because what I found was that I loved crafting and I also was overwhelmed and didn't enjoy it because of all of that mess that went with it. And that is how I started doing this. So it'll be 20 years next year where my focus has been helping people get and stay organized so that you can enjoy crafting and not feel overwhelmed when you walk into your craft room or your craft space. I'll tell you one other thing about my sister. She's the reason I teach because she said, "You should teach a class." And I said, "Nobody needs a class." And then I was at her house and she turned to my head to look down the hall into her craft room. And I was like, "Oh yeah, some people need a class." So here we are, Overwhelmed to Organize. And I'm going to take you through the process of getting your crafting life organized. And hopefully you're going to learn a few things that you can translate into your everyday life, everywhere in your home. So let's start with the top 4 things, the things that I think are most important about getting organized. And the first thing is understanding who you are as a crafter, right? So in the handout, you'll notice there's this, what kind of crafter are you, or who you are? And there's different definitions of different girls. I'm going to go through them quickly. You can read more about them in the handout, but there's Kathy Craft Room. Okay, first, let me backpedal. Why is it important to identify this? Because when you choose the products that you need in your craft room on your craft cart, they need to match the type of crafter that you are. And this is one area that gets neglected when we think about organization. You want to think about what kind of crafter I am, where I craft, who I craft with, how often I do it, all of those things. And that will help you choose better organization products so that you can actually choose the products that work for your crafting life, as opposed to just choose things that are cute or that someone else suggested or whatever. You'll have a great knowledge of who you are and what you need. So Kathy Craft Room always only crafts at home. Her craft space is always set up. Everything's always accessible to her. She doesn't need products that come and go because she stays right where she is. Okay, so you might be Kathy Craft Room. Sophia Cropalot, she has a craft room, but also loves to go places, right? So she needs a little combination of things, easy access to her things at home, but an easy way to pack up the things she needs and travel with them as well. And then we have Karen Craftabout. Now, Karen has storage for crafts at home, but she doesn't really have a craft space that's big enough. So she's regularly moving things from wherever they're stored in a cabinet or a cupboard, bringing them maybe to the dining room table, maybe to the TV room. She also might attend crops or classes. So she's got mobility within the house and also mobility on the go. And then last but not least, we have Mary Mobile Maker. And Mary only ever crafts away from home. So it's really important that every tool Mary chooses to get organized is something that's totally portable, but every tool that Kathy chooses is going to stay where it is, right? So you can see the variations that we have here when we're talking about different types of crafters and what they might need. Now, really the most important thing to know is that all of us might have a little bit of each of those girls. So what I'm going to encourage you to do after this class today is take some time and think about that, and also think about who you craft with. Do you need extra space in your room? Are you going with girlfriends? That type of thing. This is really going to help you making great choices about what tools or supplies you're going to use when you start organizing your things here. Got a couple of messages popping up here. Kathy says, yay, thank you, Michaels, for carrying the Tiffany's products. I have been waiting for this. Christina said, I ordered yesterday, found the Sue bag. Woo, woo. I am so glad you brought that up, because one thing I want to just remind you is that when you look at the buddy bags on michaels.com, you are getting a multi-pack. You're not just getting one, right? So when you look, some are 2s and some are 3s, but there's a special bundle that we put together just for Michaels. So keep your eyes on that as you're choosing the buddy bags that you need to get your craft room organized. But I'm so glad you ladies have found the products that you need on michaels.com already. And we are adding more and more all the time. So keep your eyes on the website for that type of thing. Okay, so we know who you are, or you've decided who you are. That is my first really foundational step of what's important for organization. The second thing, the second tip that I have for you is combine and conquer. Keep things together that you use together. I'm going to give you a perfect example of this. Your silverware drawer. Everybody has one. You know how they work. The silverware drawer is a master of organization. Everything you need to set the table is in one place. You gather it all up, you set the table. After dinner, you scoop it all up, goes through the dishwasher, gather it all up, it all gets put away, right? It's all there in one place. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to process anything. You're just like, keep things together, use together, silverware drawer. Now, I want you to think about storing your silverware the way that you might be storing your craft supplies. If you took all your spoons and arranged them in cute little ball jars, candy jars on the shelf with little ribbon, super cute. Over here, you've got a wall of little baskets and all the different types of forks are spread out in the baskets, wall of magnets where you've got your different knives hanging on the wall. It looks adorable. It's fun. It's cute. There's ribbons involved. But when it's time to set the table, you gotta hike all around the dining room or the kitchen to find all those bits and pieces. Then when it's time to put them away, you have to reverse it. It doesn't make any sense at all And yet that's what we do with our craft supplies. So I want you to think about keeping things together you use together. I'm going to show you how to do it, so don't worry about that. Keeping things together you use together when you're crafting, and what type of system it's going to take to do that. And that is number 3 in the tips list, the 4-section system. So if you are, some of you I know are already familiar, sorry, I lost my screen here, with the 4-section system, but I'm going to take you through it step by step so you really understand. Now, the 4-section system isn't rocket science. It is science, because the way your brain remembers things, patterning, is basically what we're doing with the 4-section system, right? We're building on patterns that we already know and we already understand. I'm going to tell you a wonderful sort of sideline to the 4-section system is that almost everybody understands it. So if you are crafting with other people and they're looking for supplies within your craft stash and you're using the 4-section system and these tools, anybody is going to be able to find anything. So it's a great way to organize on so many different levels. All right, let me pop back in here. Susan says, I'm a Karen Craftabout and I love TT products. Thank you, Susan. I'm so glad that you're on with us today. It's awesome to hear from you. Okay, so 4-section system, alphabets and numbers, themes and sentiments, the calendar year, and the rainbow, right? All of these are pretty easy concepts to understand. I am going to show the 4-section system to you on the scrap rack. Let me kind of bump this out of the way for a second here. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the scrap rack, I'm going to pull this into view so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the scrap rack. It's steel, it's a steel base. It's got a commercial grade of hook fabric on the front. It's got adhesive on it and rivets. The wings on the side pop off and you can see. Now I have mine on a rotating design board. The rotating board is not part of the scrap rack. It's just on here so that I can show you easily today how things work. So the 2 wings on either end. And then the key component here is what we call a spinder. So this is a standard 3-ring section and it adheres to the face of the scrap rack base with that loop fabric. So it's quite strong once you put it on there, right? It's gonna, and it's a little bit of a battle to get off. It's so strong. So something like a bone folder is gonna help you pop that spinder right off and into your hand. You don't want to pull your spinders off by the rings, of course. Okay, I'm going to slide this over and we'll start talking 4-section system, and then you'll see how that all works as it's going together here. I think I need a giant table, right? Do you ever feel that way? Like when you're crafting, I just need more space. We all need more space. And that's what this is all about, actually, getting that more space. I don't want to knock anything on the floor. Hang on a sec. Okay, section 1, alphabets and numbers. These are all the alphabet, number, punctuation, mark things that you use as long as they're not theme specific, right? We want to keep our themes together in that same vein, combine and conquer, keep things together you use together. So what we've got here, and Susie's going to try and zoom in so you can see everything that's alphabet, not theme specific, is right here. So the scrap rack, the pages that I'm flipping through, these are all available also on michaels.com, but they come in all different shapes and sizes, and these are all individual pocket configurations, right? But the goal is when you need something, when you need a letter, when you want to spell out a word, that you can actually, sorry, Susie, I'm trying to flip slow, that you can flip to that section of your scrap rack, or if you're using another storage tool, pull out the section that is alphabets and numbers and find everything that you have that might possibly work. Now, the number 1 question, and I'm going to set this on the scrap rack here so you can see how that works. The number 1 question that I get when it comes to alphabets and numbers is, how do I sort by color? And I'm going to say no. I know a lot of people get a little stomachache there. Think about how, and this is key to the whole strategy of being organized, think about how you use those stickers or those tracing templates or whatever it is, right? We use them by size. If you're making a birthday card that's 4 by 6, you don't want happy birthday letters that are all 3 inches tall. It's never going to fit. You need to see what you have in the right dimension to fit on that card or on that scrapbook page or on that home decor project, whatever it is. So organizing your alphabets by size is ideal. Now, I want to roll back just for a second. And I know a lot of you have heard me say this before. You need a good system, a solid system, something that you can count on and remember and continue using. There is no perfect system, right? To quote Voltaire, perfect is the enemy of good. You want a good system, something that's easy to work with, something you can remember, and that is what the 4-section system is going to give you. Keep your alphabets and numbers together. It makes sense and it's simple. Group them by size. Here's a good example of that as well. We know that we work in size, right? We're working within a dimension. So we're going to put those alphabets, whether they're chipboard or stickers, in a set amount of size. But we also want color, right? If you're doing something for 4th of July and you want to use red, white, and blue, you want to see those colors that you've got as well and what you have. So if you have red, white, and blue alphabet stickers, and they're all the same size and they're all grouped together within your 4-section system, you can, I can write 4th of July, I can write 4th in red, and I can write of in white, and I can write July in blue because I see that I have all of those stickers and all those letters available. So it helps you find what you have quickly and also know what your choices are. So even if you thought, I'm going to do it all in red, you may get to that sticker sheet and go, I don't have everything to spell all this out. I also need blue and white. And then because they're grouped by size, you're going to see all the choices that you have in one place. So I know it's a little bit hard to kind of get your brain around that because the conventional wisdom is keep them together by color, but it's a lot easier, takes less time to find them, which is what I'm constantly worried about. Like how much faster can I do this? How much more productive can I be? So getting them organized that way is ideal. Okay, so that's section 1. So alphabets and numbers, as long as they're not theme specific. Section 2, we call this themes A to Z. And so these are all the things that you scrapbook or card make or work on home decor projects. Now, I'm sorry, Susie, I'm having her zoom in and I'm going to change my little tact here for a minute. What is really important is that products that you use for stamping, for scrapbooking, for home decor are all crossover products, as well as crossover products with things like Christmas is right around the corner. If you're making place cards for your Christmas table, you don't want to keep things for place cards somewhere else. If you made treat bags at Halloween, you don't need to keep your treat bag stickers somewhere different than your Halloween stickers or your Halloween embellishments, right? You want to see everything that you've got, regardless of the type of project that you're working on, in one place. And if you think through what you craft about and how you craft, you'll find that themes and sentiments, the second section, is pretty consistent across all crafts, right? You might be making a home decor project for a baby room. You're going to use the same types of things that you have for cards or for scrapbook pages or that type of thing. Maybe you're making a banner that says, welcome, baby. You definitely want to access your paper crafting supplies across all of that as well. So keep in mind that it doesn't just work for paper crafting, it's every craft that you might be involved in. Okay, let's talk about themes and sentiments, section number 2. Now, I've just got the dividers here. So this is my little demo. It's a little smaller scrap rack. Those of you who have seen mine, you know it's significantly larger. One of the benefits of scrap racks is that you can link them together to increase your storage space really simply. But the idea here, this is a birthday section, is that if I'm going to make a card or a page, or like I said, do a banner or anything like that, I can go right to this section of my scrap rack and see everything that I've got that's going to work for that theme or sentiment all in one place. It makes it really, really simple to find whatever I need, and it's fast and easy. Now, the other side of that, of the 4-section system is, I'm going to put this on my scrap rack, is that you can put things away really fast and easy also, right? So if you take out a bunch of supplies to make a birthday card, and normally they end up all over your desktop, then you have to put all those things away. Well, if you've got your supplies stored randomly in different boxes and bins and drawers and totes around your room, stickers over here, bling over here, die cuts over here, you have to put all those things away as opposed to just going to a birthday section and putting everything back in birthday. So one of the other questions that I get about themes and sentiments, and I'm using my travel section here as an example, is should I subdivide the sections? And the answer is yes. So when we look at the travel section, there's a lot of generic things for travel, right? Airplanes and passports and suitcases and that type of thing, maps, all that. But there are also some specific things. Your trip to Mexico, your road trip through the USA, whatever it is. So I definitely would recommend grouping all of your travel supplies together generically, and then grouping them together within that generic section. So this, like this back section here, this particular page, all of the pockets on this page are all the things that I purchased to do a road trip album that I did with my husband. So I've kept all the things I'm going to use together in terms of the road trip, but they're also all together with the rest of the travel materials that I might be using as well. I'm just going to put that on the scrap rack also. Third section of your 4-section system is the calendar year. And this is where you put everything grouped by holiday or season. And again, our goal here is that everything is easy to access, really visual, super simple to find. So if you're working on Valentine's cards, you're going to be in the February section or the spring or winter section, depending on how you think about that. If you're working on Halloween, you're going to be in the fall section. Now that brings up another question, really common. Why do I need a calendar year section? Can't I just put Halloween under H and Thanksgiving under T and Easter under E in my themes and sentiments section, and then I don't have to have the calendar year section? No, I don't have a lot of rules. Susie will attest to this. That's a rule. You have to have the calendar year section. Why? Because our goal here is to be able to find things quickly and easily, and also to keep things together we use together. And for those of us who are a little older, rely less on our memories and more on the system. So if you are working on something, let's use Halloween as an example. If you have Halloween under H and Thanksgiving under T and fall under F, instead of having everything just together under fall, you have to remember that those things, the pumpkins, the cornucopia, the trees without leaves, the leaves, all of those things that cross over between all of those fall holidays are now spread out in 3 different places instead of all in one place. So when you have your fall section and you might have that subdivided fall, Halloween, Thanksgiving, you can look through all of those things really quickly and easily. You might find pumpkins in the Thanksgiving, card kit that you bought that are going to be perfect for your Halloween trick-or-treat bags or whatever it is, but they're all together in one place. Now, this is going to serve you really, really well, not only at home, but if you travel, if you go to a crop or go to classes and you're going to work on fall pages, you're going to be able to take your fall section instead of taking everything in your craft room, and you're going to go with confidence knowing I have everything that I need because this is all my fall holiday stuff. I'm going to grab my rainbow and I'm out the door with my tools and other supplies. I'm good to go. So really important to have that calendar year section. Now I will tell you, your calendar year section will probably change as your crafting life changes. What do I mean by that? When my children were younger, we did lots of different holiday things. St. Patrick's Day at school, Valentine's Day was a big deal, obviously, at school. Mother's Day, Father's Day, things that are more kid focused and especially young kid focused, but also I have 2 boys. And so I had a section called Things That Go. And as your kids age and you change and their hobbies change and their sports change, you need an organization system that's going to change with them, right? So the Things That Go category went out and the football category came in. As things change, and then the kids left, and now things are more focused on the stuff my husband and I do versus what we did with kids. So that's one of the other nice things about the 4-section system is you can remove sections and add sections, but you're not reinventing your organization system. Okay, last but not least, I should check my feed here because I feel I may have been neglecting you. Sorry. Let's see. Barbara says the 4-section system is amazing. Hi, Barbara. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Linda, hello from Michigan. Love TT. And she says the 4-section system is the best. Patty says, I use the paper storage holders due to having so much paper. So you could absolutely follow the 4-section system, Patty. Thanks for saying that. And I've got all my embellishments and that type of thing here. And I'm going to have my 12 by 12 paper in paper storage boxes. but I'm still going to use the 4-section system in those paper storage boxes. Now you can also store your paper and all your embellishments together inside that type of box as well. The important thing is keeping those things together as much as you can. So if you are using a scrap rack and you've got all of your embellishments and accessories in your scrap rack, you're going to work on travel. If you're like me, I'm a travel junkie. I have about 4 inches of travel paper. I don't want to put all that in my scrap rack. I'm just going to have it in one of my paper handlers so I can pull the travel paper, go to the travel section, and everything's together. So Patty, thank you so much for bringing that up. If you have a lot of paper, you're still going to use the 4-section system. What you might have in your scrap rack are just a few sheets of paper for small categories. St. Patrick's Day. If you've got 5 sheets of paper for St. Patrick's Day, throw that in your St. Patrick's section, right? But if you're a Christmas junkie, maybe you're a Disney junkie, you're going to need a whole paper storage box just for those. Okay, let's see. Amy says, I love my scrap rack. Judy's using the paper handlers for sorting and storage. Great way to sort. The paper handlers are awesome. I don't think those are up online just yet on michaels.com, but I know that's something that we're working on getting up, so you'll be able to find those hopefully sooner than later. I think I kind of said this in the beginning, but we are continuing to add new products to the michaels.com site all the time. So if you're looking for something, that's going to be a great go-to for finding Totally Tiffany products. Patty says, I use a catalog for my die sets and keep my dies on TT storage 5x7 holders. Boy, there's so much to talk about with dies and stamps as well, and we'll get into that a little bit more at the end of class, but I'm looking forward to doing a class specifically with Michaels on that. Vicky says, I absolutely love my scrap rack. I've had it since 2006 and I'm still organized and love Tiffany's system because I'm able to get to what I want when I want. And Jody says, I would like another base and spinders for my scrap rack. So much more I could put into it. And I know, Jody, the scrap rack, base, and spinders are available on michaels.com too. It's one of the very first things that we added to the Michaels website. Do you have something, Suze?
Got a couple questions. From D is, hi, Tiffany. How are you repurposing the sections you no longer need?
D, I think she can hear you, right? Yeah, I think we're all good. D asked about repurposing the sections you no longer need. Actually, there's a couple things. Purging is one thing, right? Getting rid of things that we aren't using is very difficult, right? Especially if we've assigned some sort of emotional value to them. So there's a whole podcast on purging, and I'll address it in another Michaels class as well. But basically, one of the beautiful things about the scrap rack is all the pages, once you take things out of them, they can just be reused. The pages last forever. Forever is a long time, but for 20 years, the pages that I have in my scrap rack have been working for me. So they're going to last a long time. And then I do a lot of donating. And again, I don't want to talk too much about it, but as I give up on or don't use specific categories anymore, those are going to go into a Ziploc bag and they're going to get donated somewhere, maybe to a school, or maybe I'm going to take them to a crop. I'll share one really great idea with you as we get back into cropping. If you've got, and this was shared with me from a customer, it's not my idea, but it's brilliant. She had done a cruise. She was done with her cruise stuff. She had all these leftover cruise papers and embellishments. She put them all in a Ziploc bag, labeled it cruise. And the next time she went to a big event, she walked around the crop room looking for somebody else who was working on cruise photos. And she just gifted that to them. She said, here, you're working on a cruise. I have all these great things. Use what you want and then pay it forward and pass it on. And people loved it. They just loved the idea of her sharing those things, use what they wanted to, and then did the same thing and pass it on. So that's a great way to repurpose things that you're no longer crafting about or that no longer fit into your crafting life. And then of course the pages of the scrap rack can just be used to hold whatever that next category is. So great question.
All right, one more. Do you use dividers at the beginning and end of each spinder?
I do try to use a divider at the beginning and end of each spinder because it kind of creates, let's see if this one, I haven't even talked about rainbow yet. So it kind of creates, so I've got a spinder at the back and a spinder at the front. And that way, when they're off the scrap rack, it creates almost like a binder cover. So if I'm taking this off to travel with it and I'm not putting it in the binder, there is a binder available on michaels.com that you can put your that you can put your spinders into to travel with 1, 2, or 3 spinders. But if this is off the base, it's giving me a protective layer on the front and on the back of each thing. And sometimes I leave the tab on there and sometimes I cut it off. It just depends. This is the last section on my scrap rack. So I actually just trimmed the tab off and to create that back cover because there's nothing coming behind it. So, okay, so let me just make sure I'm all caught up here. Oh, Vicki says she has sorted all of her beads using my system, using the Totally Tiffany system, the 4-section system. Awesome. Awesome for jewelry making. I know jewelry making is a huge trend. If you haven't started now, I don't know if I should encourage you or not to do it because it's really, really fun. And there's so many great things out there. So thank you, Vicki, for sharing that. Okay, last section in the 4-section system is the rainbow. Okay, when I say to people, put your flowers and your bling and your mesh and your tiles and your laces and all of those things together by color, it gives a lot of people a stomach ache, right? Because we are so trained to think about flowers, bling, brads, all as separate things that we don't want to put them together. But what I want you to think about is when you're crafting, what's your goal? Is your goal to find everything that you need quickly and easily to be able to take it out, use it, put back what you didn't need? Then you absolutely have to switch over to using the rainbow section and keeping those things together. The other thing is, how do you know what you have, right? You have to ask yourself, you have to ask your brain, do I have red brads? And if your brain says yes, then you have to ask that second question, where are they? And if your brain returns back, they're somewhere in your craft room, but it'll be way faster to run up to Michael's and buy more brads than it will be to find them, then you know you've got a problem, right? You're accumulating stuff that you're not actually using. So the rainbow is going to save that as well, because when you say, I need red brads, and you flip to your red section, I have reds and pinks together here. If you don't have any red brads, guess what? You have license to shop for red brads. So you know what you have and you know what's available to you and you can find it quickly and easily. And for things like brads, all I've done is put them into little Ziploc bags and then slip them into the pockets. Now, sometimes brads and eyelets and that type of thing are gonna come in packaging that's gonna slip right into that pocket. I'm running out of space here, as I knew I would. I'm gonna flip over here and get to this blue and green section before I knock my glasses on the floor. But think about this also when we talk about the rainbow section. If you are thinking, I'm going to put a blue flower on this page, and your flowers are separate from everything else, when you go and find your flowers and you bring that container to your workspace and you get out the blue flowers and you find the blue you want, and then you have to repeat all that, putting all that away, all you've seen and all you've thought about were the blue flowers. But once you combine all of the blues together, for me, it's blues and greens, now you're going to see the flowers and the bling and the brads and the glitter and all of those other things. So you're not only going to use the flower, but you're going to use a lot of the other products that you've got in your craft stash. So this is where the rainbow really, really shines, is because when you start actually creating, you are more creative. I mean, I know it's a little bit hard with the camera and the reflection, but just look, when you just flip through the pages and look and you see all of those beautiful supplies, that in and of itself is motivating and inspiring, right? It's just pretty. It just makes you feel good and it makes you want to be creative and get your creative juices going. So the rainbow, well, for some of us, it's hard to get our brain around that. It's actually a great way to organize and to keep things visual and accessible on so many different levels. And you're going to use more of what you have. You know, one of the things that I always talk about with organization is that it starts in your head and then it moves out into your world from there. Okay. Oh, 11:36. Okay. And then it moves out into the world from there. So you have to get your head around it first. And once you get your head around it, the world is your oyster. And the more organized you are and the easier it is to do things and the more fun you're going to have and the more productive you're going to be, all that stuff. Okay. So that was tip number 3, the 4-section system. and you have all of this in your handout. I know I'm kind of long-winded about it. Lastly, what I want to really, really encourage you, number 4, start small and start now. Your room, your space didn't get where it is right now in a few days. For most of us, we collected craft supplies for years and piled them up in nooks and crannies and corners and shelves. So be patient with yourself, start small, but start now. Pick one small organization project. Maybe you're going to pick up a scrap rack and you're going to say, okay, all I'm going to organize this week are my flowers or my bling or whatever it is, and get that one little thing done, and then move on to the next and to the next and to the next. And I promise you, we're going to be working with Michaels to do some more classes. So we'll take you through even sort of a step-by-step on that as well. All right, so let's talk about these principles and these ideas, who you are as a crafter and how you're going to organize your things when we're working with our craft carts, right? So the craft carts have become such a big part of, I'm going to move some of this out of the way here, of our craft rooms. Look at me go. This is true Mary Mobile Maker when your whole craft room just rolls out of your space, right? Oh, put this back over here. Okay, one quick look here. I just have glasses aplenty here. Karen Smack says, can you use the 4-section system in a binder? I only have shelves. You absolutely can. You can, I mean, we have a couple of different 12 by 12 binder options that you can use, but it was born in a binder because before I had the base, that is exactly what I did. I started out with binders and then putting them on that base made it easy and accessible to get to them. So you 100% can do it on a binder. You can do it in our 12 by 12 fab files, which will be available, which are available actually. Let me see if I have one that's organized right now on my shelf here. The 12 by 12 fab files are available and they're big enough to store paper, and you can put your other embellishments in there so you can do categories that way as well. Getting your brain around that 4-section system is going to be the key, and then you can choose the tools that work best in your craft room. Of course, I mean, the scrap rack is like my third child, so it's, you know, it's near and dear to my heart, and it just solves so many problems. And that really is the key, solving your organization problem, right? What's the solution? And when you look at products, I don't mean to toot my own horn here, I guess, but when you look at the products that we develop at Totally Tiffany, they're just developed by crafters for crafters. So they actually work the way we work, hence the what kind of crafter are you? And we really pay attention to those things so that the products will work great for you. So let's talk about now moving into our craft carts. Liz asks, I just moved into a house and I am, whoop, my screen changed, and I'm just going to make a craft room. How do I do this efficiently on a budget? I'm starting with nothing. Oh, I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about here, but my advice to you, first piece of advice, don't think you need a giant space. The more you can surround yourself with, like literally, and there are some videos up also on my YouTube channel and such, literally, if you can create this open shelving, which is not expensive in the big picture, you can adjust the shelving, you can kind of wall yourself in so everything is within arm's reach. You are going to love it. Get yourself a chair that rotates and a table that moves as well, because like with this table, I can park it in the corner so it doesn't have to be out in the room when I'm not using it. Carts are going to be key, right? They're a great way to organize. Let's talk first about tools, and then we'll talk about a couple of other ways to organize those carts and how they're going to be efficient for you in your craft room. And they're really, especially the Lexington cart is very affordable. I'm going to talk about that right now. So hang on 1 second. Elizabeth W says, will these items be in the actual Michaels stores? We're working on it. We don't have a date yet, but definitely something that we are working on, Elizabeth. Kylie says, I'm more interested in how she's storing those inks and glitters behind her. I paint and bead. Well, we're going to start talking about tools first. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to end up talking too long. Okay. The Lexington cart, right? Last time I looked, it was available in 16 different colors, which is super fun because you get that little pop of color in your craft room. 3 levels. All the levels are about the same size. So how are you going to organize this cart to be efficient? You're going to use things like buddy bags, which are behind me. And I'm going to start with tools. We're going to talk about tools first. One of the things about a cart is, depending on the type of crafter that you are, is that, so this is our Ditto bag. This one's loaded up with tools, fits really nicely right in the top of the cart. All my basic tools and supplies are here. And then as I go down through the cart, I can put next level tools and supplies. So I know a lot of you, especially fans of American Crafts, and they do tons of great tools that are all available at Michael's. And so the things that you use most at the top and then work your way down. And keep in mind that you want your smaller things in the front so that you can actually see them and get to them. Right, so these are all punch boards. And here's my other huge tip, right? Each of them is self-contained, as this is, in the Slide Station store boxes. I can pull out the whole box and set it on my workspace if I need to, or I can work right out of it. That is key. Things that you can take out easily and bring to your workspace, and those things also creating some separation on your cart to keep things organized. You know, one of my other mantras is vertical, go vertical, go vertical, go vertical. And you'll find so many of the tools and supplies that we design either are designed specifically for vertical, or they can be turned vertically, and that maximizes that space, right? So as you're organizing your tool cart, most use tools on the top and then work your way down. The beauty of the cart, of course, is that when you need it, you can pull it next to you, and when you don't, you can park it somewhere else, right? So this is great regardless of whether you're Kathy Craft Room or Karen Craftabout or Sophia. You can move that around so simply. So when we talk about organizing tools, that's one great use for your cart. Think about your cart as, these are all my basic tools and supplies. This is the stuff I use all the time. Slide these back on the shelf here. So tools are a key feature and a great way to organize a cart. Now, important, the same way I talk about organizing, keeping things together, you use together in general, and by those themes and that type of thing, you want to do the same thing on your cart. So your tool cart is going to be key. It might be the one that you need or use the most. That's a Ditto bag. You're also going to find on the Michael's website things that are part of the desk made product line. And these are organizers, again, that are designed around crafting dimensions. And you can see this has embossing folders in it. This has dies and stamps. This has dies and stamps. This one is punches. All of those are also going to fit in your cart. So getting things organized in your cart permanently, if you're not going to take out your tool bag and go, you're going to want to use the die stamp and supply organizer, the 6-level stadium arranger, which I'll just pass that over to me, Susie. When we talk about things like the glitter and inks and those type of things, this is a key product for organizing those as well in your cart. So someone just asked about what's behind me and how to keep those color things organized. So the number 2 thing about creating a cart is that this is my theme cart, my color cart. So if I'm going to use my 6-level stadium arrangers, now these are great in the lower sections of the cart because they stagger your products. Just grab these out of here. So whether it's inks, right, or glitter bottles, or baker's twine, once you've got those staggered into the cart, then you can see them all. So rather than, what you want to avoid with cart organization is piling things on top of each other, right? Again, back to going vertical so that you can actually see them. So when I reach into this cart, when I'm looking for a particular type of ink or a bottle of glitter or glitter glue or any of those things, they're super visual, they're easy to get to and easy to see. This might be all washi tape if you're a washi tape junkie like I am, right? So, but the staggered of it is really key. So what we're talking about, visual is really important. As you're loading that cart, smallest to largest, and you might need to go this way, right? So you have smallest to largest up to a point, and then if you rotate your cart, it might go down the other side. And I'm speaking more of things like your tool organization, right? Remember, the beauty of this cart and the 4-way spinner wheels is that it's easy to access on both sides. Super simple. Now, we're also talking about things like inks and paints, right? The beauty of these types of organizers is that everything stays in line, nice and neat and tidy, but it's also can come out and get onto your workspace, right? Buddy bags are a key feature for doing that. So let's talk about inks. If you're a stamper, you may have your stamping supplies somewhere like this, but you need, can you bring me the stamp tool bag? You need all your stamping tools together, right? So, oh, Susie's trying to avoid getting in the camera. I feel it. This is another ditto bag, and it's got all the basics for stamping all together, right? It could go on one of your shelves here. It can go on the shelf in your room, but it's portable right along with the cart. Now, when we talk about buddy bags and stamping, we're looking at things like, oh, here it is. Different types and sizes of buddy bags or different types and sizes of ink pads. I think this is what you were asking about in your question, and how to store those. So one of the great things about buddy bags is that they can be stored this way or this way or this way or this way, right? Depending on what's in them. So if you are working with an ink manufacturer who says, you need to keep your inks stored flat, you can do that just by turning your buddy bag whichever angle you want to do that. Same thing with markers. Oh, come on now. I know it's here. Oh, there they are. So if you've got markers, these are obviously standing up in the bag, but you want to store them flat. It's that easy to tip them on their side. So if you're loading up your cart with things like marker storage, I want you to think about that. Like, how can I keep things the way they're supposed to be, but be able to take them off the cart easily and access them? Okay. So different buddy bags for different types of things. And like I said, all the buddy bags are available on michaels.com in those multi-packs, which you're absolutely going to love. But I want to point out a few buddy bags in particular. Okay, I guess I should address buddy bags if you have no idea what I'm talking about, right? I just sort of assume everybody does. Buddy bags are clear vinyl bags, and there's 16 of them, I think now, and they're all different sizes and shapes, and they're all configured around crafting. Some of them have one section inside, one box on the inside like this. This is the Leanne bag. And some of them, this is Dawn, have multiple sections inside. The reason we did that is because if you are storing small things in here and you didn't have the divided up sections, all the small things would just pile up in a heap in the bottom of the bag. And you know, I keep saying, go vertical. I don't want my things piled up in a heap. I want to be able to see them and get to them. So with Dawn, let me see if I have a filled Dawn bag on my shelf right here. Okay, my sewing friends. This is all buttons and they're organized by color, right? It's almost like a little file, and it's easy to pull them in and out and put them back where they belong in color order. If I'm crafting and using this to store my buttons on my cart, I'm going to roll back the flap and put it onto whichever shelf of the cart it's going to belong on. And now I have a drawer divider or a drawer organizer, which is also, if it needs to be, a portable bag that I can take with me to a crafting event. So when you're thinking about filling up that cart and what size and shape of containers you need on each level of your cart, you're going to find, I feel like it's Christmas. you're going to find that the different buddy bags and the different sizes and shapes with the different container boxes on the inside of them make it really simple to fit right around whatever those supplies that you're using. So this is the Katja bag. This is a Stephanie buddy bag, okay? You'll notice this one's really clear and this one has the white plastic boxes in it. And those are different because of the weight that they will hold. So if you're storing something really heavy, you're gonna go with something like the Stephanie, lighter weight, you're gonna be able to use the Katja bag. And then of course, they're gonna fit into your cart, again, with the flaps open and easy access. Now, Stephanie was designed for ink pads in particular as a way to be able to keep them flat. So this is a Stephanie bag. I guess I should take this, well, I'll take these out. It'll be easier to see. Now, this can go in a lower shelf because of the way that it's designed. First of all, it kind of looks like the boxes are in there backwards because you would think that this is the front of the bag. So the boxes with the ink pads would go this way. But if you do that, you're not going to see that top level of ink when the bag is closed, right? That's why they're this way. So you don't, that strip of hook and loop fabric doesn't cover them up, labeled on the top. I'm going to do the same thing when I'm storing these, not traveling with them. I'm just going to roll back the top. I'm going to pop that into whichever level of my cart I'm using. But because I have the label on the top, my inks are stored flat. I've got the little finger hole at the top also. I can pull out what I need and choose the ink color that I want to work with. You get in there. But it makes it really simple. So as you're choosing those buddy bags, maybe you're doing an entire cart that's just sewing products. Maybe you're doing an entire cart that is, as my sister has, rock painting, where she's got all of her paints and all of her, well, her paintbrushes are on the top. She's got a little clip-on cup for her water. And then she's got her paints organized by color, her additional tools at the bottom, things like paper towels and all that type of stuff. So one cart can be organized just for a particular craft. And that's really important because, again, we're keeping those things together that we use together and then choosing the products that you need to divide your cart up and to really make it function in a maximum way is also key, so that you're getting the perfect use out of that cart. Now remember, the top shelf is almost limitless. You can put a 12 by 12 paper handler in there. You can store 8.5 by 11 paper because you've got this height. If you're looking for paper storage, you can do your 8 by 8 and your 6 by 6 paper on the lower shelves because there is enough height there. The important thing to remember is when you're putting things on the lower shelves, you need to leave enough space on the shelf so that if you have to tilt something to get it out, you've got that space to tilt it as well. So whether that's paper or something like this, that's going to give you that extra space in there also. So make sure that you leave it. What you don't want to do is make it difficult to get things in and out of your cart, which is where things like the buddy bags are, you're really going to love them. If you put your Ditto bag onto another shelf, it is double-sided, so you can rotate it and get to both sides really easily. Again, one of the key features of the four-way spinner on that Lexington cart is that if you do need to set things up on both sides, rather than just accessing it from one side, you can definitely do that as well with this particular cart. Okay, let me pop on here, and I heard my little vibrate here. See what we've got. We just have a couple of minutes. If you have particular questions, please do feel free to pop on and ask them. That's what we're here for. So let's see. Jody says, does Michaels really have a hot pink cart? Love it. Yes, this is the Michaels cart, the Lexington cart. And of course, I know it's almost as if they designed that for me, isn't it? It just blends right in with my room. It's perfect. When I got it, I was so excited. Monica says, I have a small space, but with Totally Tiffany, everything fits better. I'm going to tell you something also. One of the misconceptions about, I'm sorry, that was really like, one of the misconceptions about a craft room is that you need a giant craft space. And honestly, if you can frame yourself in like a C shape or a U shape around you with a chair that you can rotate, you can bring so much more of your crafting life within reach, you're going to love it better than having to get up and look for things and go after things. So I'm an advocate of setting up your room in stations. If you're a multi-crafter, maybe where your sewing machine and all your sewing supplies are in one area and your paper crafting things are over here, and the table moves around. And if you watch the video of my sister's room, it's exactly how we set up her space, so that she had like a kid's station, a sewing station, rock painting, and then paper crafting. But it was easy because her table just rolled around inside the room. So we just sort of surrounded her with those things. Amanda says, what is the best way to travel with your cart and keep it from falling out? You're gonna have to put some sort of cover on it, my friend. And I know, I have seen it done. A large trash bag works great. So if you cover your cart with a trash bag, top down, and just strap it around with a Velcro strap or something like that, then you're going to keep everything in your cart as it goes. There is not a cover for the Lexington cart. Now, Felicia might know that. She's on with us today. She might know if there is actually a cover specific to this cart, but there wasn't one that I was aware of. But Felicia, that might be a good add to the Michaels website. Oh, I have seen people strap them down with a seatbelt also, right, in their car, or bungee cords in the back of your SUV. But they are really handy if you're able to move them around and you have everything set up, especially when we're talking about sort of basic setup. I guess I started talking 3 ways to organize. There's your tool cart, everything that's necessary. There is by type of craft cart, right? So this is everything for stamping. This is everything for sewing, whatever it is by craft. One of the nice things about that is you're not using your sewing stuff at the same moment that you're using stamping in most cases. So you can park your stamping cart in the closet while you're sewing, and park your sewing cart in the closet when you're stamping. And then you have that, you're freeing up that space. I will tell you, even in my space here, if you go around the corner out of the office space, there's a little hallway right there, and it is lined with carts over in the hallway. So it is nice to be able to move things out of sight, out of mind also while you're working with them. Monica says, I wonder if my big Sizzix will fit on the top shelf of the cart. I don't know how big, I'm assuming you're saying you're talking about the Big Shot. I think this is 15 inches across. It is 15 1/4. There's a little bit of a lip on it, so I would say 15 to be safe. And they're all the same size. All the bins are the same size, by 11. Yep, by 11. So if your Big Shot will fit 15 by 11 dimensionally, maybe the legs will fit into, like the base of it will fit in there, and it'll kind of sit on the top of the cart, and that would be really handy. And then you would have a place for your platforms and your dies, especially if you're using, again, the die stamp and supply organizers. That makes it really simple. Now, there are buddy bags, of course, that are going to hold your dies as well. So this is, as an example, the Kirsten buddy bag with the pockets and magnets. This is the biggest die and stamp buddy bag that we make. We also do the 5x7 Karen, which is Kirsten's little sister. So those will all fit in your cart as well, or even on a shelf. And I was talking before about traveling with things and the type of crafter that you are. So this is, I'm going to leave this open when it's on my shelf, but if I'm going to take it somewhere, then I'm going to be able to easily close it up. So I'm a huge advocate of, if you can leave things open in your space, and I know some people have dust and pets and small children, so you can't do that, but the less you have to do to open something, the easier it is to get to, the easier it is to craft, the more fun you'll have, and the more you'll do it, right? Just all one big ball of joy at that point. Let's see. Christina says, what is the name of the 3 trays you put on the second shelf? This is the, these are Slide Stash and Store boxes. I'm not sure they've been loaded on the Michaels website yet, but they come in 6 different sizes. Slide Stash and Store, if they're not there yet, we'll be working on getting them to you there. And they come in packs of 3 by size, and they hold everything. I mean, these are all of these are Slide Stash and Store. And the beauty of them is that they're on a shelf, they slide off, and obviously Slide Stash Store, put it back. They're great in the carts and a perfect fit. And they do give you that dimension, that segmented dimension as well in your cart. So Elizabeth says, I have a Lexington cart that is dedicated for my Joy and mug press. Perfect. That was the next thing on my list. Things like that, like your Cricut Joy, like your mug press. If you can get those things all together, right? Then when you're ready to use them, everything is there. One of the challenges with things, Cricut tools or Gemini tools, is that if you have to hunt around your room to find the platforms and the weeding tools and all the other things that you need, it becomes burdensome. So think about that as well. Just like she has, here's everything for my Joy. Here's everything for my heat press, right? Whatever it is, everything is together in one place. And that it makes the cart so valuable, especially if you can find a little area in your craft room for cart parking where you literally can, and mine is lined up under a shelf. I had the shelves put in specifically for the height of the carts so that they would slide under there perfectly. And then, so you've got this cart parking, you're going to pull out Cricut, you're going to pull out stamping, you're going to pull out die cutting, whatever it is. And it's all rock painting, jewelry making, whatever. Keep those things together that you use together. All right, let's see. Anne says, what's the name of the tray she has inside the cart? This is the 6-level stadium arranger. It's made by Deskmade. I think there's some links going up as we're talking, but if you search Totally Tiffany on the Michael's website, it's the 6-level stadium arranger. That's what this is. And it's going to fit re-inkers, glitter glues, small glitter bottles, small paint bottles, all kinds of things, and give you that nice staggered effect. And it just is really, really snug when you put it down in there. It's not going to move around or any of that kind of stuff. It's a great fit for a great use with your Lexington cart. I also like the color cart and the white of the organizer because they kind of pop off of each other. So got that kind of cool thing. All right, let's see. Megan says, can you please show the bag with the ink pads again? Yes. So this is a Stephanie bag, and this is the Stephanie bag sitting flat, and it is loaded with little darlings, stamps of life, Spectrum Noir, any of the standard sort of size ink pads, the ovals or the rounds are going to fit in the Stephanie bag. So that is Stephanie flat. Okay, I know I have a Stephanie vertical. Where did I put it? Do you see it? There's Leanne. No, I set it down. I set it down, not vertical. This is also Stephanie vertical. So I've got the re-inkers at the top here, and you can probably get 3, 6, about 12 re-inkers in there. This happens to be Stampin' Up! Ink pads. I'll give you one other tip about using buddy bags. When you get the buddy bags, the names of the bags are obviously on the packaging. Cut that name off and put it in the back or the bottom of the bag, because when you want another one, like I said, there are 16 different bags. They have all kinds of different pockets and all kinds of different boxes in them. You're going to want to buy the exact one that you're looking for. The best way to know that is to take that name. Give your girl a name tag. I'll tell you really quickly about buddy bags. This one happens to be named after Stephanie Bernard. So if those of you who know Stephanie and Stamps of Life, that's named after her. She's my bestie in crafting. But most of the buddy bags are named after people in the Totally Tiffany community, right? People who have been part of the Get Organized Challenge, who have dedicated some of their time and energy and efforts to helping other people get organized. They're the people that you're going to find online in the Get Organized Challenge group, who are always answering questions and sharing links. We have almost 30,000 people who've taken my Get Organized Challenge class. There's no way I could answer questions from all of those people. So Barbara and Terry and Lisa, we've got a couple new girls coming out. I can't mention their names right now. All of these gals are people that are helpful within the community of crafting and organization. And so they've been immortalized in clear vinyl. So I'm so thankful to have them as part of our group, but you'll be able to meet them as well. As part of the Totally Tiffany community of people. All right, I put my phone down now. Here it is. I can answer my next question. I was answering questions about ink pads. Oh, Tim Holtz, Distress Inks. Edna buddy bag or the Merle buddy bag, either one of those. 18, I know that question's gonna come up. So these are the close to my heart, old style. These are the close to my heart, new style. This is the Irene buddy bag. This is the Barbara buddy bag. Now, you all have a link to download about buddy bags, and it will tell you which things, not everything, but it'll give you a really great idea of the dimensions of the buddy bags and which things we recommend putting in each one. Now, remember the buddy bags with multiple, I also need to say this. When you get your buddy bags, they come flat packed. And so the trays, the boxes that are inside are also flat. Let's see if I can take this apart here. So you just pop them together. This is going to be better. No, this is going to be the better one. So they just have these tabs that they come with a protective layer on them. So some of the ones that I may have showed like this, so you can see how this one these boxes aren't crystal clear. That's because I did not take the protective layer of plastic off of them. Once you do that, the plastic is really clear like this. And then you just fold the boxes together on the score lines and hook the tabs in. These are clear and flat in your packaging with the buddy bag, so don't miss them, right? They're hard to notice. This particular one isn't because there's 4, but if there's just a single tray in your buddy bag, you need to make sure you're looking for this so that you can fold it together. That is what gives the buddy bags their shape. I wish I would have talked about that in the beginning, and gives them that, that dimensionalization. So Susie's telling me, hey, your time is up, sister. All right, so I do want to say the Edna buddy bag is something, if you are, stand up here. Oh, I'm hooked under my under my chair. I don't see one, that's crazy. All right, the Edna buddy bag is going to hold Tim Holtz or the Merle. So if you're looking for those, but like I said, the buddy bag list that you have a link to is going to give it all. Why are the scrap rack? Why are the buttons not in the scrap rack? Oh, they would be. That is typically where I would put them. However, I also have to teach people how to use other things and other places. And think about if you have sewing notions, also fits in the gotcha bag, things like bias tape and that type of thing. It's specific to sewing, then they would be that way. But really, I just have to show examples of different ways to use different products. With the Dawn buddy bag, she's also going to work great for things like color crayons and the Faber-Castell gelatos and glue sticks and all of that type of thing, which would be much more what might be in my cart, because I'm going to have all my buttons and brads and bling all together in my scrap rack. So good question, but that is why not everybody has a scrap rack. I guess that's the other answer, right? But you should. Okay. Brenda says, I have a fairly large sewing room with embroidery machine, sewing machine, serger, scan and cut. I love doing all kinds of crafts, including stained glass. She does everything. Wow. And she's a gardener. Woo, woo, woo. I definitely need to get organized, but it's such an enormous job. Where to start? I use a plastic shoe rack on my doors for miscellaneous sewing. Also have so much. Love the cart and storage ideas. I just want to tell you, the biggest problem, the biggest challenge you're going to face, not just you, but anybody who's trying to get organized when there's so much going on already, is that there's so much to do. And the best possible advice I can give you is choose one small task and do that one tiny thing. Your brain doesn't care if if you're checking off a box that says organize 10 shoes or organize 50 shoes. What your brain cares about is that you got to check the box and you feel good about it and you feel like you've accomplished something. And checking one box gets your brain fired up to check off more boxes. So if you start small, start now, pick one small task and then and stick with that, get that one thing done. You'll be motivated and inspired to do the next thing. Side note, if you organize one little shelf in your craft room, it is going to create more space for you to organize the next thing. So you can just keep adding to your organized only space. All things we'll talk about in next level organization. And hopefully we're going to get that scheduled with Michael sooner than later. Anne says, are the stadiums hangable too? Yes, the 4 and 6 level stadiums are hangable. They do come with hanging hardware on the back, super easy to just hang on your wall. So it's a great way to use some of that wall space. You can hang them, you know, above and below each other, or you can make a whole row of them. Again, if you watch the transformation of my sister's craft room, this is the product that we used on her wall to organize all of her punches across the wall, her small punch collection. I think we did glitters on her wall too, but it was easy solution. Sorry, I'm trying to go really fast because I know I'm really out of time. Carolyn said, I learn a lot from Tiffany on every Monday and Tuesdays. Thanks for joining me for the Tuesday Tribe, Caroline. Evan says, how tall is the cart? I think the cart is, but I'm going to measure it. I think the cart is like 34 inches tall. Let me see. Oh, I'm a liar. Well, I don't know. I'm a liar, I guess. 30. It's 30 inches tall. And then, of course, whatever you put on the top of it could raise the height as well. Okay, let's see. Karen says, this is amazing. I can't wait to get started. All right, everybody. It looks like the end of the questions. You got any more questions, Susie?
There's one last one that says, what do you hang on the hooks?
What do you hang on the hooks? Oh, just about anything you want to hang on those. So these are just some little, I was just testing these out, right? This is just a little plastic hook. I was playing with it thinking, okay, what could I put on there? Could I put a pair of scissors on there? I think it depends on if this is your sewing cart, that is definitely going to be where you hang your measuring tape, right? If you use I use the retractable, but if you use like the kind that my mom always had around her neck, it's going to be a great place for that, or a pair of scissors, maybe a ruler if you're a paper crafter. So I hadn't actually got a chance to play with it yet and decide what I was going to put on there, but definitely, you could definitely do that as well. So if you're somebody who uses your ruler all the time and you want to have it accessible, that's a great way to do that also. So, all right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in today, for learning a little bit about organization in general, and then for working with your cart and all the different Totally Tiffany products that are going to help you really maximize the cart, the use in your craft space. Remember, combine and conquer, keep things together you use together. Think about that silverware drawer. Use the 4-section system for organizing all of your craft supplies, and your life will get really, really easy. It'll be easy to find everything and easy to use it. And you know, the easier it is to find our supplies, the easier it is to craft, the more often we're going to get to do it. So I guess that's it. I've talked my whole hour. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope to see you all again soon. And just one last reminder, if you tuned in late, this class will go live or will be available. The live version will be recorded on the YouTube channel for Michaels and at michaels.com/classes. Takes somewhere between 24 and 48 hours to get that. We'll make sure and link the class handout and other information in the description of the class for you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day.